The last night I worked at the club, I danced my last set. I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't want to be there anymore. Not in a pandemic. It just didn't feel safe. So I got my things together, got on my bike, and went home. 2 days later, the club was closed. I'm gonna show you a little makeup tutorial of a look I used to do back when I was employed. Primed. Next, we're gonna do concealer. Make those eyes nice and fresh so that guys ask me what I study in school. I'm 30. Next is foundation. I was a stripper for 3 years. I went by the name Sophia. I usually went for like a pinup look, you know, something old classic beauty, something that gives middle-aged men boners. So yeah, I mean, I love my job, but I have to say that the last few shifts that I worked at the club were kind of weird. This is March 2020. Sports had been canceled. Handshakes had been canceled. So how am I supposed to give a guy a lap dance if I can't even give him a handshake? So there were fewer people coming into the club as a result. And the men who were coming in were sketchy as fuck. For instance, there's this one guy. He's like a 40-year-old hipster. He sees me, and the way he calls me over is with a, which is disgusting, but I haven't made any money yet. Mascara. So I go over. First thing he says to me is, "You do tongue kissing?" Ugh. And I'm like, and then he goes, he coughs, okay? And then he says to me, "What? I pay you." And I'm like, dude, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And he's like, "Come on, I'm clean." Oh yeah, the cleanest guys always want to avoid using protection, huh? So, of course, I say no and blush. He looks a little surprised because when a guy puts money on the table, he expects you to say yes to everything, right? And when a stripper says no to a man, it's pretty satisfying. All right, time for some highlighter. Now, once the club closed, I had to think fast. I knew a lot of sex workers who were transitioning into online sex work, but I wanted to do something that was a little bit more broad and open-ended and maybe even offer things to people that weren't specifically sex work related. I came up with this thing that I like to call Hire a Muse. It was a beautifully happy day when I realized that the acronym for Hire a Muse was HAM. HAM! I'd say probably the most classic ham offering is dance videos. I take a song I used to dance to at the club, pretend there's an audience, and do my thing. But some men, they want a love letter. So I offer effusive emails. They ask my opinions on things like, what's the future of sex work? And what are you wearing? And I'm happy to opine for cash. Now we're gonna do a little eyeshadow. Sometimes I read books to men, sometimes topless. I read Dr. Seuss once, which seems wholesome enough. And then the guy had the nerve at the end of the session to ask me, what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you in sex work? Why would you ask me that? Now we're gonna do some eyeliner. Another thing I like to do with ham is writing workshops. I'm currently helping a sex worker organize their memoir. I ask them questions and I transcribe some of their answers, and then we work out a structure, and then I'm hoping by the end of it we'll have a really sick manuscript. Now, probably my favorite thing that I do, collaborative comic books, where I play Andrea Ardmore, stripper spy. And I a sidekick named Ellie, also played by me, your favorite Ham. All right, this eye looks a little different than the other eye. I'm gonna keep finessing. All right, so I'm gonna put on another layer of mascara and go as quickly as I can, as if I've got a regular on the floor waiting for me. And I can't make them wait any longer. You know how we make them wait. All right, quick, get the lipstick on. Always matte, because there's nothing like whipping your hair on the stage and getting it stuck on your lips. That's amateur shit. And finally, a little setting spray. Woo! I think we're done. All right, take the bun out. Oh, yeah. Oh, I think I'm ready to strip. Oh, yeah. Feel good. I feel Sophia's coming back. I feel like I'm ready to, bam, take some man's money. I can't wait. When I put on this makeup, I feel like I'm ready to go on the prowl. I'm ready to be the sexiest predator that ever lived. I'm out for blood on the killing floor. I'm ready. Sophia's ready to make some money. The first time I went to a strip club, I thought that the dancers were going to be unhappy with their lives, wanting to die, etc. I walk in and the women are happy and they're strong. They're dancing to music that they love and getting a big audience reaction. A beautiful, naked woman on stage who was happy and knew exactly who she was. That's what I wanted to be. Being pushed out of the club has put a fire under my ass as far as pursuing my goals and my dreams and feeling like this is my chance. I currently have this massive opportunity. I've got a book deal to write a memoir of my stripping years. I imagine it would be hard to write a book on a tight schedule and have to also strip. It's an incredible amount of emotional labor and physical labor.
So I feel like one decision we have to make is just like who we want to flesh out as a character at the club, and how much we want to do that. So like building up like which dancers we want to have as recurring characters. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I love that idea. The first stories my editor sent back to me, she's like, these were amazing. I love them. You know, this writing is fantastic. And I was like, is she just saying that? Is she just saying that because I'm a whore and I'm writing and, you know, it's just kind of a nice, maybe fashionable thing to tell a whore that she's a good writer? And then I had to take a step back from that because I know that's not true. I know that I'm a good writer, but there's no doubt that voice is inside of me. When I finished escorting in my early 20s, it took me years and years and years and years to stop hearing the voice inside telling me that I was just a whore and I was never gonna amount to anything.
Well, I mean, you're doing great with like hitting all the deadlines, which is like blowing my mind because they're so intense and you're just like getting every single one.
Well, what can I say? It's a great time to be a hermit, you know? What a time to write a book.
I now have the time to just write and supplement my income with Ham. I see Ham as a fun, neat little gray area in sex work. You know, to me, it's my ideal kind of sex work. You know, inspiring, creative, conversational, whatever you want it to be. I've been doing paid walks with a very selective few individuals. When they would come visit me at the club, yes, it always ended in a lap dance. But we would sit and talk before any of the action started. And that's the main reason why they came to see me.
So, Andy, I can't help but wondering, do you foresee yourself going back to the club?
It'd be nice to go back, but it'd also be nice
if my other hustles became my career, you know?
Well, it's always nice to go for walks.
That's absolutely right. We can always go for walks.
I think it's a hard time to make plans. In general, pandemic, no pandemic, making plans is, often a joke. But I do think it's important to hold some dreams dear. So I'm just going to keep quietly plugging away at my dreams.